The drama surrounding the transfer market has once again reached a fever pitch. And this time the headlines are dominated by names no one thought would be moving so suddenly. Gianluigi Donnarumma, once the crown jewel of Paris Saint-Germain, a man who was supposed to guard their net for the next decade, now finds himself unwanted, cast aside, and left searching for a new home. At the same time, Manchester United is plotting record-breaking deals, Tottenham is preparing nothing short of a revolution in their squad, and Liverpool is quietly moving behind the scenes to reshape their defense. What was supposed to be just another summer window has turned into one of the most scandalous, unpredictable, drama-filled periods football has seen in years. At the center of it all, Tottenham Hotspur, a club battered by the departure of Son Heung-min, who shocked supporters by moving to LAFC, and further crippled by the serious injury to James Maddison. For a team already struggling to impose itself among the Premier League elite, this double blow threatened to unravel all progress. But rather than accept defeat, Tottenham has decided to fight back with a vengeance. The club's board has moved aggressively into the market, holding parallel negotiations for two key players who they believe can restore balance and creativity to their attack. First is Savio, known affectionately as Svinho currently, at Manchester City. His opportunities have been shrinking since the arrival of Ryan Cherki and the looming transfer of Rodrigo from Real Madrid. The second is Eberechius, a Crystal Palace playmaker, who has grown into one of England's brightest attacking midfielders. Both moves carry enormous weight. For Savio, Manchester City are willing to negotiate, but they want control over his future. Pep Guardiola's club has proposed a buyback clause, which would let Spurs lower the initial cost to €45 million, but would also ensure City could reclaim him later if he develops into a star. Tottenham is intrigued, especially as Savio himself is pushing for a change of scenery, eager to escape the shadows of world-class names and step into a starting role. For manager Thomas Frank, Savio represents the perfect wide playmaker, someone who can drift inside and open space for the forwards. The plan is bold, selling Bryan Gill, loaning Giovanni Lo Celso, and building a young, fearless attacking trio of Savio, Kudus, and Scarlett. A gamble, yes, but one that could create the youngest and most electrifying front line in the Premier League's top six. Simultaneously, negotiations for Eberechius are back on the table. Ez has long been admired by Spurs ever since his days at Queen's Park Rangers, and Frank now sees him as the ideal orchestrator in midfield. Palace, however, hold the cards. With his £68 million release clause expired, they are free to set their own terms, and the competition is fierce. Manchester City, too, have shown interest, further complicating Tottenham's chances. But Spurs management knows timing is everything. If Palace cannot find a new playmaker by August 20th, the transfer could be delayed until January, leaving the door wide open for Tottenham to swoop in. And here lies the true twist. While many assume Spurs were choosing between Savio or Ez, inside sources suggest the either-or option is dead. Frank wants both. The board, already exploring sales of Yves Bissouma and Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg, is working to raise funds for what would be nothing short of a transfer revolution. Bringing in both stars would not simply be a reinforcement, it would be a statement. A statement that Tottenham refuses to fade away, that they are rebuilding not just a squad but an identity. Meanwhile, Manchester United are wading into deep waters of their own. After securing signings like Benjamin Zacco, Matthias Nunes, and Matthias Cunha, new coach Ruben Amorim has identified his next crown jewel, Carlos Baleba. It's the 21-year-old Brighton midfielder who has been likened to Moises Caicedo, only with an even higher ceiling. United have already tested the waters, sending an offer that combined cash with players, but Brighton quickly rejected it. For them, Baleba is non-negotiable unless someone meets their staggering £100 to £105 million valuation, yet United are desperate. Christian Eriksen's departure has left a void in midfield. Casemiro's form is in doubt, and Amorim views Baleba as the player to carry United's midfield for the next decade. Baleba himself has given the green light, reportedly approving the move and agreeing personal terms. But Manchester City lurk in the shadows once again. Guardiola eyeing him as a natural successor to Ilkay Gundogan and Bernardo Silva. Should United hesitate, City could swoop in at the last moment. The pressure is suffocating at Old Trafford. United's management has already considered drastic measures, including the sale of Alejandro Garnacho to raise funds, a move that would shake the fan base to its core. The club may be forced to wait until the final days of the window, hoping. Brighton's resolve weakens, but every hour increases the risk of losing Baleba to their City rivals. This isn't just a transfer. It's a battle for the soul of United's midfield, and the outcome could define their future for years to come. Elsewhere, Newcastle United are closing in on a clever piece of business, targeting Aston Villa's Jacob Ramsey. At just 24, Ramsey has already proven himself with Champions League goals and steady Premier League performances, yet his role at Villa has diminished. With Eddie Howe searching for reinforcements after injuries to Joe Willock and the departure of Elliot Anderson, Ramsey represents both quality and versatility. Negotiations are progressing quickly, and a fee between £40 to £43 million has been floated. Villa, under financial fair play pressure, see the sale of an academy product as pure profit, making the deal attractive. For Newcastle, Ramsey's ability to play centrally or out wide fits perfectly into Howe's plans. And if the transfer is completed by Saturday, he could debut against none other than his former club. Football, as always, writes its own cruel ironies. Yet the most shocking story of all comes from Paris. Gianluigi Donnarumma, once hailed as the future of goalkeeping, has been publicly cast aside by Luis Enrique. Ahead of PSG's UEFA Super Cup clash with Tottenham, Enrique made it brutally clear Donnarumma would not even be in the squad. His explanation was cold and unapologetic. "I want a different type of goalkeeper," he said. "It was one of the best in the world, but I take full responsibility." PSG, having signed Lucas Chevalier from Lille for €40 million, have made it clear the Italian is no longer wanted. Donnarumma, still held in contract until 2026, has no intention of rotting. On the bench with the 2026 World Cup looming, negotiations for an extension collapsed, and PSG are desperate to avoid another Mbappe situation, losing a superstar for free. They have officially put him up for sale with a €50 million price tag. The suitors are obvious: Bayern Munich, Juventus, Manchester United, yet the most surprising contender has emerged as Manchester City. Pep Guardiola, a longtime admirer of Donnarumma, has reportedly spoken with PSG. But the deal hinges on one key condition: the sale of Ederson. With Galatasaray pressing hard for the Brazilian, City may soon have both the funds and the vacancy to strike. For Chelsea, the chase is already over. They've withdrawn. United, burdened by other transfers, cannot compete financially. Italian clubs like Inter and Juventus watch with interest, but lack the resources to act. And so, the path is clearing for Manchester City to land one of the most sensational transfers of the summer. Donnarumma himself has already broken his silence with an emotional farewell. "I always gave my all to defend the PSG goal," he said. "Someone decided I am no longer needed. It hurts. I am disappointed and depressed. Thank you to the fans for your love, and to the team for every moment. If this is the end, I will leave with my head held high. Thank you, Paris." His words echo with bitterness and finality. His era at PSG, filled with trophies and triumphs, is ending in heartbreak.